Hello and welcome to the third edition of Gender Justice Nevada Quear 2.0. I am Laura Hernandez, Family and Youth Services Coordinator for Gender Justice Nevada, and today I have with me our fearless leader and director, Jane Heyman. So welcome to you, Jane.
Thanks so much, Laura. It's kind of beyond a dream that we would be here together, that this would be happening, and I'm really proud and excited.
I am too. I've been waiting for you to be here with me. Right? You could finally make it.
I've been kind of away these last several weeks, most of them, yeah.
So I'm excited for people to get to know you, and maybe you can tell everybody what you do. What's your role with Gender Justice?
So I end up being a co-founder, I guess, of Gender Justice Nevada, and as a result of that kind of central position initially, I was kind of thrust into the role of, I guess, executive director would be the formal title. I also am a licensed marriage and family therapist, and so I have a significant involvement on the clinical side of our Quear Anti-Violence project, and maybe have a title of clinical director as well. Maybe in the end, I would say that I feel like I'm a do-everything kind of person. Maybe any small organization or small nonprofit or nonprofit that doesn't have a lot of funding, like, kind of things fall to everybody. And I find that it's really important for me to pick up on this and pick up on that. And so I do grant writing, and I'm involved in fundraising, and I in some ways do supervision or kind of like, I don't know, maybe I'm people's boss in some ways. Sometimes people think that. Just trying to like maybe support a healthy group, support a healthy process, good communication, and in support of a growing vision, which has evolved over the years and about which I'm incredibly proud. And maybe I would say this too, and I don't know all of what the show is, but like that we have you with us is an amazing gift, right? Like your presence is fundamental to our ongoing success. So
thank you.
Yeah.
So I know that you wear a million hats. What is your favorite part, or what's the most meaningful part of the work that you do?
If I answer that just in terms of sort of like something that happens during the week regularly, I would say that Saturdays in the Young Persons Group, which we call Insert Faith and Humanity here, is my favorite place to be. It's been true for forever in my life, and I think it's broadly speaking true for many sex-gender diverse persons, intersex persons, transgender persons, that it's challenging to be in kind of mixed spaces. And they're like cis people or like kind of maybe even gay lesbian persons. Not that it's never safe, but it's kind of challenging. And maybe it's sort of a calm place that I feel comfortable and where I'm just sort of feeling free, not always easy to find. So while my role in that group is a facilitator, it's a young person's group. We have young people up to age 25 or thereabouts. We come together every week. We generally have 10 to 12 folks who are young persons who are there. The groups are deep and powerful and respectful and non-judgmental and not catty at all. I'm understanding from some people, but for me, I feel free in there. I feel released, or I feel like grounded, and it's a gift. I tell them every week, like, they inspire me, they give me faith. The name of the group is really meaningful to me, and I'm really cynical, as you probably know too, but in that space, or for those couple of hours, like, my faith is renewed, and it's really powerful for me. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think I would probably say the same about, outside of the work that I do with schools, I think the groups definitely are are right there at the top of my list of favorite things that I get to do.
Well, you get to be with other parents and family and all of that wonderful stuff, yeah?
Yeah. And for anyone who's listening who doesn't know what we're talking about, I mentioned in one of our previous shows that we have groups every Saturday. We have one that meets for young people, which is the one that Jane's mentioning, Insert Faith and Humanity here. And then we have parents and family members of sex gender diverse persons, which is the parent and family group that I sit with every Saturday. And it's been such an amazing opportunity to meet folks and have people come together and create community and have safe spaces where we can be around others who are experiencing the same kinds of things that we're going through. And it's been such a joy and such good fortune.
Yeah. For a long time, honestly, Laura, providing space that could sustain for, I don't know, sometimes people call them secondary survivors, or we're calling them family and parents. It's been really challenging significant others to get people together, because I don't know, when people are making changes in their lives, it's directly affecting the person who's making a change, and maybe there's sufficient motivation and desire and willingness to risk to get together with other folks who are going through similar things. But for families, for parents, for partners, for siblings, for children, that's really hard. It's hard to kind of move past that barrier of what will people think of me, and how will this go? And it's really amazing what, I don't know, you and others really have done. Maybe I played some small role in that too, but we'd have a young person's group, that kind of we could generate that space. But to have this ongoing, almost 4 years, this family and parent group be so robust is, I don't know, says a lot of good things about you and about the other family that are coming into that group.
Thanks. I think that, as you know, there's only so much we can do for young people when their families aren't on board. And so having that be a part of the work that we can do is not only supporting youth and having them come and have time together and having safe spaces, but creating a better environment for them to go home to, and creating better family relationships and dynamics between themselves and their parents. I just know from my own experience what an amazing experience that my relationship with Christina has come through. From before transition to now, because of what we've kind of gone through together, and then I see it happen with so many other families. So, it's a pretty exciting thing.
Right. It comes out of our lived experience too, right? Why are we doing this? Because it's a part of our lives, and for so long even in my practice, I made these changes in my life in the 1990s, but I'm in private practice. I earned my license in 2002. I was practicing even before then, and I would get families with young persons, and parents would want to know, where can I talk to other people who are going through similar things? And sometimes I would try and connect them, not randomly, because I would know this parent or I would know that family, and I would try and offer my best judgment about who might get along better or how those things might fit for folks. But having the opportunity to say, hey, come to group on Saturday, check it out. It's a good space. And if you want to talk to Laura beforehand, you can do that too. Laura's really good, and she's got a transgender daughter as well. And it's been in so many ways this journey. Even though I always tell people don't start a nonprofit. So anybody who's thinking about starting a nonprofit, I would think not just twice or 3 times. Maybe you think an awful lot before doing it. I kind of just dived in.
Well, how did you talk about that a little bit? How did that come to be?
Oh, we moved here in 1994, my partner and I, and this was before I made changes in my life. And over the next few years, then I don't know, coming out, I guess, is a phrase that can be meaningful. And I entered graduate school in 1997, and kind of was moving through these different things. but when we moved here, it was always like temporary, right? Like, I always think that this can be true for a lot of people coming to Las Vegas. Like, yeah, I'm just going to go there for a little while. Like, it's Vegas. I'd like to go live there for a little. And it's kind of like flypaper. I've always sort of said, like, it's sort of sweet and sticky. You land there, and you kind of move. And the more you move around, the more you get kind of like stuck. And it's a wonderful stuckness. But in 2008, we started to really kind of like take significant steps towards creating statutory protections and civil rights, primarily in employment was our initial idea. And so that led to this and led to the other thing. We did some things in the 2009 session that were ultimately unsuccessful in passing statutes. But in 2011, we did what really nobody in the history of the United States had ever done before, and we got it's a legal category, gender identity or expression, included in basic civil rights categories, housing, employment, and public accommodations. And at that time, I thought, well, I don't know, I've done something, whatever that means, but like, I've been at this for maybe 12 years or so. It's been a long time. It's not like it's been every day or whatever, but I really have busted my ass to get this stuff done, and it kind of got done. Like, there was something substantial, visible, whatever, all that we had supported together, and we were going to move. We were going to move to rural Oregon, really, my partner and I, and that was pretty clear. But we went up in May, the end of May in 2011. We were invited by Governor Sandoval to attend the bill signing for the employment bill, and it was a great honor and an amazing experience that I'll always remember. And it happened like in the late morning, early afternoon. So afterwards, we just flew up in the morning, and we were going to fly back to Las Vegas that evening. We went out, had lunch, and whatever. I would indulge in a drink or two every now and again, and so I'm like sipping on a martini, and somebody that we had kind of engaged in support of these things said to me, well, that's all great, Jay, that you got like words on a page. Now what are you going to do? Like, what else is going to happen? You know, like, we should like do something more together. And I'm like, yeah, like, that's great. We should do that together. Because I don't know, like, that's not in my plans, and I don't really want to take time right now to explain why that wouldn't be so good for me. And I didn't want to disrupt the wonderful afternoon. But I also knew, like, pretty much immediately that something had changed inside of me. Like a seed had gotten planted or something is kind of how I describe it. And when I got back, I wasn't like I was right away telling my partner, like, oh, check it out, this is sort of what I'd like to do. I let it sit there for a few days, and it was Memorial Day the next weekend, and we were in our back patio having a glass of wine, and I'm like, you know, Joe, like, it would be like maybe something that I might want to do. This kind of stays with me. I don't really know what to do with it. It doesn't mean we have to do this, but, you know, what do you think? And my partner said, well, I don't know, like, you moved here to Las Vegas with me because they had graduated from law school. That's kind of what brought us in some ways to Las Vegas, and got a job with a district court judge. And so they were like, well, then that we could stay here for you. And yeah, I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but I was like thrilled with her support, and I mean, it's been a mighty adventure, but I never wanted to be a part of a group, like an organized group. I'm always like on the fringes, and like I can be pushy, and not that people don't like me, but like I say the wrong thing at the wrong time to the wrong person, and like people are like, yeah, that's great, Jane, you know, kind of move along. And I kind of like that, I don't know, outsider status. So to be a part of an ongoing group of folks, I don't know, it pushes me in many ways, just personally, like kind of internally, you know, how to sustain those relationships. And there's a whole lot of story about that, but like, yeah, thanks.
So, I mean, you were talking a little bit about those legislative efforts back in 2011, and how that kind of really set us up for, you know, being in a position, because a lot of people don't realize that in the state of Nevada that we have these protections in places of public accommodation. You know, so many other states are struggling with trying to decide how they're going to look at Title IX and how that's going to be applied. And we're fortunate here that we don't have to worry about that because we have state laws here to protect us, and it's a result of the work that you did. And those
and
legislative
many others. I mean, I forgive me my interruption, right? Like, it's a very difficult place for me because while I don't think it's unfair to say that these things wouldn't have gotten done if I hadn't been like the pushy, persistent person that I am, this is a much broader kind of journey and include a lot of folks. So, yeah, sorry to interrupt.
No, not at all. And I think that's so true because it always does take a lot of people to get these things moving through session. And we've had so many successes recently in the most recent session, which brings us to our upcoming event, the Celebrate the Silver State event we have coming up on August 26th, which I'm so excited about. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that.
Well, and I'll do a little history about that too, right? Like after 2011, we did an event in October called Equality One Day, and we invited some of the same persons we're going to invite again because like these folks have been involved over even a much longer period of time. And after 2011, it wasn't that we went away in terms of the legislative process, but there was a lot, like kind of educating our communities or informing people about what's going on, about providing direct support for civil rights violations, among other things, and kind of building the kind of nonprofit Gender Justice Nevada. So it wasn't that we weren't involved in 2013 and 2015 sessions, but mostly it was just sort of like keeping bad things from happening, especially in 2015 because the composition of the legislature coming out of the 2014 election was so radically different, and some, I don't know, to me some crazy bills got some airtime. But we were just kind of like playing defense and just trying to like get things sort of settled. So in this session in 2017, we were awarded the great gift of a lobbying firm, Cantor Crowell, through one of our main funders, the River Charitable Trust, and these folks being up in Carson City, being up in Reno, having all of this experience was like, oh my gosh, like all of these things we can maybe have, kind of more ambitious agenda. Maybe we can do more than we thought. Maybe we can make sure that the things that we get done happen in ways that really are going to be meaningful for our communities. Not that we didn't do that before, but it was more central to our ability rather than oh, we gotta kind of figure out how to take care of that and how to do these things. So we had a very ambitious agenda. We were successful in passing laws that ended conversion therapy, which maybe in different ways a lot of section diverse persons would be aware of, but conversion therapy is a practice either by so-called professionals, persons with licenses like me, I'm an American family therapist, or pastoral counselors and others, whereby especially young people are subject to pressure to maybe like not be gay, or you're not really trans, like that's not really true what's going on for you, or if you just did these things then you would learn your way through that, like that wouldn't have to happen in your life. So they would be kind of converted, that's kind of where the word sort of comes from, so that they would not be queer anymore, they would not be lesbian or whatever. So we got protection so that can't happen, or at least it's illegal for anybody to do that to someone who's under 18. We got laws passed to support foster care kids. So now there is going to be mandated training. There's a particular process by which that's going to happen for pretty much any public or private entity that has a role to play in the lives of foster kids and families, which is a huge shift, right? Like to have at least some consciousness, at least they have some emphasis on sex gender diversity within the foster care system. One of the other reasons that, like, and this is true for conversion therapy too, like sex gender diverse young persons are more likely to be in foster care situations, are more likely to be referred for counseling in different contexts. So kind of per capita, it affects our communities more often. We also ended the publication requirement for persons seeking name changes. So if you want to get your name changed and you tell the court, look, I'm doing this because I'm transgender or I'm intersex, then you don't have to go through this weeks-long process, and that information can be held in much greater confidence and be much more private. There were people that I've certainly known, many people, who were like, well, I'm just not going to do that because I got to get it published. I'm just not going to go through that. That's not, I'm scared, like, what's that going to be? And even persons who would do that, then, like, where is that information? How's that going to affect, I don't know, my application to a job or something like that? So it's a big thing to end that publication requirement. And then the piece that maybe we were, and I know you were more directly involved in this too, but like that like came mostly out of Gender Justice Nevada, and that is we were successful in kind of maybe sneaking through a requirement for all Nevada school districts to have policy and training policy that is inclusive of sex, gender diverse students. We were privileged last year, late summer into the fall and winter, to engage with the Nevada Department of Education to co-write a model policy, which we had hoped at that time would get distributed to the 17 school districts. In Nevada, each county has a school district, so there are 17 districts in our state. And that we would follow up by contacting the school boards and the superintendents and the administrations. Well, that didn't happen because of the Attorney General blocking that for, I don't know, like reasons that probably the Attorney General's office would say were like legitimate and legal, but from our perspective certainly seemed like kind of squelching support for diversity in our schools. So that law getting passed, and there's a lot to do about that, as I know you know, but just is huge. There's suffering maybe in so many ways in our communities, but and it's reflected in our focus with Gender Justice Nevada that young people are so often disempowered and in circumstances that they can't, you know, their parents don't approve, or you know they're in schools that are not supported, and that kind of suffering increases risks to suicidality and self-mutilation, cutting, depression, anxiety, substance use, dropping out, early sexual relations like in pregnancy, like sexually transmitted infections, like all kinds of like really not so good things, and to have schools be welcoming to the diversity that actually exists. You know, I'm always like kind of getting this reaction of like, oh, I didn't know that about this particular maybe kind of understanding. 3% to 8% of K through 12 students are sex gender diverse, intersex, transgender, non-binary, these kinds of things, which in Clark County alone means there are between 10,000 and 25,000 students. And what I know we've gotten from schools all the time is, oh no, that doesn't happen here, or oh, when we do that here, like everybody is happy and there's never any trouble and all of this stuff. And I mean, I've always known that like there are many, many thousands of students who are suffering in silence, and that this law holds the possibility, it holds the promise of supporting young people to be able to be awake and alive in their lives in these places that they spend an awful lot of time in, and I don't know. So those are some of the things that we've been able to take care of. Maybe there are other things too, but
it's so exciting. I mean, there's a lot to celebrate for us, and you know the amazing honorees that we have coming on the 26th to honor. You know, we owe a huge gratitude. Do you want to talk about those?
Well, like maybe I want to start out by saying like I love Paul Aisley. Paul, I don't know if you're ever going to listen to this, if this is ever going to make its way to your video screen, but I love Paul Aisley. We met Paul not randomly, but kind of randomly back in 2008 when he was running for Assembly in District 41, and we met at the coffee pub over on Sahara. A lot of people kind of like know about this place. It's sort of like got this long, rich history here, and together with Mari Rosenberger, who's since moved on to New Jersey, I met with Assemblyperson, or I guess he was just Paul at that time. He's a mathematician by trade. He was an instructor at UNLV for some decades. But Paul said yes. We said, like, will you sponsor our bill? Which is, I mean, I'm learning all of this stuff back then. I know it maybe pretty clearly now. We didn't have a sponsor. Without a sponsor, you can't get a law passed because there's nobody going to pay attention in the legislature. So most commonly, a legislator has to sponsor the bill. So Paul said yes, and I don't know, for a lot of reasons. I mean, Paul's just a good guy and in so many ways, but like I love Paul Aisley. So shout out to Paul if you ever get a chance to listen to this. You better know that I say these kind of things about you all the time. And then there are like several others. Kathleen Delaney actually is a good friend to me. She's a district court judge, born and raised in Nevada. Her family has deep roots here. Her father wrote for the Las Vegas Sun for some decades. And she, I don't know, like in various ways has been like kind of our like sort of background support back in 2008, 2009. Like she's the reason that like I was even thinking about getting a sponsor for the bill. I didn't know that, and not that people were withholding that from me, but you got to learn somewhere, and Kathleen has been integral to a lot of these things. She's been a part of regulatory change, the DMV change that we achieved in 2010, that made it so that people could get their sex gender marker changed on their driver licenses without having to, like, I don't know, be sterilized, really, because that's what surgery is, bottom surgery. So among other things. David Parks, I don't know, like anybody who knows anything about, I don't know, people call it the LGBT community or the LGBTQ community. We talk about it as the sex gender diverse communities. But Senator Parks has been a legislator for a long time, maybe 20 years, been a public servant for longer than that. Senator Parks, back in 1999, sponsored and got passed the first piece of legislation adding sexual orientation to statutes in Nevada, was a part of ending sodomy prohibition in 94, or 90, I think it was 93 actually. So, like, I don't know, to say we wouldn't be here without Senator Parks is probably not an overstatement. And I know we're running out of time and I'm really blabby. I would want to mention, not briefly, but because of time, maybe briefly, Assemblyperson Arujo, who is younger and is really in vibrant ways, I don't know, it's probably inappropriate for me to say this, but maybe kind of picking up the mantle from Senator Parks, big leader in our communities, and was the biggest reason why we got these foster care things done was this past session was due to Assemblyperson Arujo. And David Olshan is an attorney. He's over at Nevada Legal Services, and he's a friend to me, even though, like, probably David would say, like, he doesn't have any friends. He's a friend to me because his wife is a friend of my partner, and there are always kind of, like, wonderful circles of relationships. But David has spearheaded our document change project, has supported a lot of these things, and has been there for us. We got a call, we got a question, all of these different sorts of things, and I'm hopeful, really, in the coming months, and in particular, to challenge the way that the Department of Motor Vehicles, Department of Public Safety, place sex gender markers on driver licenses, specifically mine, because I don't self-identify as an M or an F, and I think David is going to be our kind of lead attorney in challenging those things with the DMV and DPS and in court. And we're really lucky. David is brilliant and fearless, and maybe in many ways like me, like pushy and persistent. And we're really lucky that David is with us and in our community. So, yeah, thanks for asking. Hopefully that wasn't too much blabbing all at once.
No, that's great. And we really want to invite all of y'all to come and
Wait, because we've said this. Yeah.
Yes,
Where's it going to be? What's it going to be? We're saying these things, but then
Saturday,
anybody.
August 26th. So Saturday, August 26th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's at the Rio Hotel in the Brasilia Ballrooms 1 and 4. And if you have questions, if you need information, you can always reach out to me at 702-429-5405, You can reach out to Jane at 702-810-4159. For any information about that event, it is free. And if you're interested in coming out and sharing this celebration with us as we honor these amazing folks,
it's going to be a blast.
I'd like to have you join us. So we look forward to seeing you next week, and we'll be right back here again with Gender Justice Quear 2.0.
Right on. Saturday, August 26th, 6 o'clock at the Rio Brasilia Rooms upstairs. Can't wait to see you all. Thanks for having me, Laura.
Thanks so much. You guys have a good day.
Woohoo!